Down in the description with the other links, the comprehensive help links for vulnerable communities, you will now see a new one. It is for voices.org. That is the link that I was able to hunt down. I can't find one comprehensive one with multiple other ways, but that is the one link I've been able to find to help the citizens of Ukraine, specifically to help children, which, while I would like other links to help everybody, the citizens of Ukraine fleeing what's happening in their country, I was able to find that one, which is help for children. So please check out that link down below. Please check out the other links that are listed in the description to help the vulnerable communities and help the people in this world that are being attacked all of the time. This video has been filmed before. I've been having a lot of technical difficulties lately, and now it's late in the day on a day where I've had to do a lot of stuff, so the lighting, it's 2:51 p.m. It's snowing outside. The lighting is going to be like very intense because that's just where we're at right now, all right? So let's get into it. Hello Friendzies, welcome back to my channel. Welcome to another episode of Shark Tales. We haven't done an episode of Shark Tales in a while, and we haven't had a main video on a Saturday, I don't think, ever. We're gonna ignore that it's Saturday. We're gonna be back to our regularly scheduled program by Wednesday coming up. I've had a long day, all right? But anyway, welcome to another episode of Shark Tales. Like I said, it's been a long time since we did a Shark Tales, but I remembered something recently and randomly. So let's talk about art teacher drama. So I think the funniest part about this Shark Tales is that I am a queer individual. I've talked about this before. I am a queer individual. I'm bisexual. I'm part of the queer community. And usually when a queer person talks about their art teachers or their English teachers is the stereotype, it's usually about how we're best friends. And this is not an art teacher drama of like the hot goss, like me being involved with something and the art teacher like confides in me. It's nothing like that. This art teacher drama is literally about how this woman apparently fucking hates me. Okay, so let's get into it. So it doesn't work like this anymore, but the way schools work in my town, or at least they did when I was going to school, kindergarten, first and second grade were split up into two separate elementary schools. It was kind of like where you lived in town, so it was split up. Third and fourth grade were at a different elementary school for some reason. We all came together. Fifth, sixth, and seventh was at a middle school building. Eighth grade had its own middle school, which was weird, especially where it is in town. It's very strange. And then it was the high school. So eighth grade, right? Eighth grade is in this like incredibly old, haunted as fuck building. And the very, very top floor of the building is like excruciating to get to. I'm fat. I've always been fat. I hate stairs. And the stairs in this building, because they were very old, were like thick, like weirdly spaced. Thick, weirdly spaced. That is important to, not important, but it's a part of the story, okay? So in eighth grade, I had this art teacher. Her room was at the very top floor. And I liked this lady because back in eighth grade was still when I was in my emo phase. I was wearing my one black hoodie, zip-up hoodie to school all the time because my mom wouldn't let me wear all black. I was in like my emo phase. I was like in my Edgar Allan Poe phase, you know, that kind of thing. And this art teacher was really cool. I liked her at first because I think I've always really liked art. I'm not necessarily good at certain mediums, and I'm not necessarily like an artist, I wouldn't call myself. I'm better at like media stuff than I am like traditional art. But she was cool at the time because I think she realized that I was like passionate about art and like a little weird. So at first her and I were bonding. Like she got me, is it Written by Tim Burton? It's like a collection of like poems and short stories called Oyster Boy. Does anybody know what I'm talking about? I'll put a picture up. And her and I like bonded over that a little bit. And then one of the units we did was, I don't remember why specifically we were doing it. I think because at the time he was like doing fairly well and he had won awards, I'm assuming at that time. We did a unit on Dale Chihuly and his glass blowing sculptures. And one of the projects we did for this unit were, she had like pictures of different glass sculptures and she had us all in the class like randomly pick one. And then what we were going to do is use watercolor pencils to recreate that glass sculpture, which I thought was really cool, like make like a picture of it. I thought it was really cool because that was my first introduction to watercolor pencils and I actually am obsessed with them after that unit. So the one I had, I don't know if I'll ever be able to find a picture of it because I'm not specifically sure what it's called. If I can find a picture, it'll be here. The one that I had was mostly white. It was like white and clear and had it was like an oblong shape, and then like the top of it kind of went like this, but not like a point. It kind of made some kind of like funnel. And along the side of it was like brownish. That was like the color palette. So I didn't have like a lot of color to work with. I couldn't really do too many of the colored pencils, but we all had like a big poster board sheet, and we were supposed to like draw it and try to like color it in and use the colored pencils to like recreate it. And I did mine, and she had so much to say about mine. She told me that like I had such proficiency in like watercolor pencils. I was doing such a good job. It was beautiful. It looked almost exactly like it, you know, as far as like mediums go. She said it was like one of the best she had ever seen, and I felt so good about it because that's just it. In middle school and high school, I was like the queer emo kid, so arts and like humanities were my thing. So I felt really, really good about it. And it was one of those things where, you know, she needed to grade them. And she had those metal racks where you could like dry stuff on. And we put them on those because it was like a way to separate them. So she was going to grade them, and then we could come pick them up after school in like a day or two. So I did that. I went to go after school. You know, I had a friend in class that had gone and gotten hers to like during lunch. So I was like, okay, I'll go get mine. I go up, and the way her room was you walked, it was like attached to it was in a weird part of the building where it kind of stuck out, and her room was the only room that had a fire escape attached to the outside. Explain? So her room was weird because you would go in the door here, and the room went like this compared to other classrooms that you went in, and it was like a square. Her room went this way. So I walked in the door, and in front of me would have been the racks with the projects on it, and her desk was over here. I went to walk into the room, and she comes like flying across the room and like intercepted me. She wasn't like doing this to the door, but she like got in front of me, and like instead of the racks being in front of me. And she like was like very upset, like very worked up over it. And she was like, Heather, I'm so sorry. Like, your project is gone. I think somebody stole it, or I misplaced it. I'm so sorry. Like, she's going on and on about like how this project disappeared. And I was pretty bummed out because I felt really proud of that project, but I was like, shit, like things happen, you know what I mean? Like you can't do anything about it. I didn't understand how it could have been lost or stolen. But I was like, I mean, that's okay. So that happened. And then it was like later at the very end of the year, we had done another project that again, I don't remember what it was. I just remember that it was another project that she was very complimentary of. And then same thing, when I went to go pick it up at the end of a school day, probably at the end of the year, same thing. She intercepted me at the door. It was probably stolen, or like I misplaced it. It's lost. It's gone. This and that, this and that. So weird, very strange, but it happens, whatever. Okay. So I leave middle school. I graduate middle school. 2 years later, I'm a sophomore. And in the high school that I go to, there's this one hallway. And it's like a square at the end of the hallway, right? And it's the staircase. It's the door to go out into the courtyard. It's the thing here. A hallway here, which is where some of the art rooms are. A hallway that goes this way, which is the band rooms, the back door to the auditorium where like the stages and everything. And then the side door where like kids in band and theater would get picked up. So I was in theater. I was waiting one day after school for my mom, a sophomore, right? So it's been 2 years since 8th grade. I was waiting for my mom to pick me up out of theater because I think it was like a snow day or something, or like suddenly snowing, because or it was like a half day. I don't remember, but everybody else was gone, and I was sitting in this hallway like waiting for my mom to come get me. And this next part isn't weird because the staircase that was like right in that hallway, downstairs we had like storage rooms, and we had a daycare, which I'm not super sure if other high schools have this, and I'm not 100% sure if it's for like teachers, if it's for like any teen parents. Like it could be a combination. I just know that we have like a child care center downstairs in my high school, like in the basement. So it wasn't super weird, but I'm sitting there waiting, and this little girl comes like running at me from like the art hallway, right? And she like didn't get too close to me, but she is running, and then she stops and she's like, hi, like my name is whatever her name was. I don't remember. And she's like talking to me, and I'm trying to talk to her, but I'm also like a grumpy, grouchy teenager, and like, where the fuck is your parents? So I'm like, hi, like, yeah, nice to meet you. My name's Heather. Like, what the fuck is going on? So we're like talking for like 5-10 minutes. And then like, not running, but like stomping down this fucking hallway comes this art teacher that I had in 8th grade. And I believe she was at the high school because another art teacher had like multiple knee surgeries. Like I had her junior year. Yeah, I had her junior year and she was out for a period junior year as well for a knee surgery. So I believe it was the same teacher. And I believe this teacher from 8th grade was substituting, filling in for her, something like that. But this woman comes like stomping down the hallway, right? Towards me and this little girl. And like, I was like, oh, hi, like Mrs. what her name was. I was like, hey, that's weird. Like, what are you doing here? Didn't fucking say a word to me. Gave me one of the dirtiest looks I've ever received, especially as like a 15, 16-year-old girl. She grabbed this little girl's hand and starts dragging her back up the hallway. And the little girl's like, wasn't crying, screaming necessarily, but she was like, oh wait, like I'm talking to a friend. You know what I mean? Like how little kids are. And she's like dragging her back up the hallway, like scolding her for talking to strangers. And I was like, what? Cause like, what? Granted, it was 2 years. She's a teacher, so I'm sure she had like a million fucking students come and go. But I clearly recognized her. You know what I mean? Like I wasn't just some random kid being like, oh, hey, I randomly know your name. I clearly recognized her. At the time that she was my teacher, we had like some kind of like the queer kid to art teacher relationship. She gave me the dirtiest fucking look and like dragged her kid away from me like I was a creep or something. Like, I don't know. So this leads me to believe I can't prove anything. I am almost 10 years out of high school now. So all of this happened so long ago. I'm not upset about it. It's not keeping me up at night, but something reminded me of this the other day, so I wanted to make a Shark Tales about this. But it leads me to believe by that why did I say it like that? It leads me to believe by that interaction alone that I think this woman stole my art projects and used them for something. I could be crazy. You could be watching this being like, no. I think she stole my art projects because she fully intercepted me at those doors. Like, didn't even let me step into the fucking room to collect those 2 projects. Like I said, I don't remember what the second one was, but those 2 projects, she fully intercepted me. Wouldn't let me into the room. Because at the door, she was telling me all this at the door, and then I would just turn around and leave. Both of those projects, I was, like, highly complimented on. She went on and on about how I understood the medium, and how it was one of the best, like, things. She only highly complimented me and my friend that I sat next to. Everybody else was like, oh, you're doing a good job. Me and the friend that I sat next to, she would go on and on about, especially with the Dale Chihuly art piece. And my friend's projects didn't go missing, so why did mine go missing? You know what I mean? It was just, I think she stole my shit and used them for something. I don't know if she, like, just took them. I don't know if she submitted them as something. Like, I'm not arrogant enough to think that the art projects I did in 8th grade was, like, submitted to, like, an art workshop. But I don't know. Because this woman, my projects disappeared, and then is glaring at me like I'm attacking her child. Like, I don't understand. I don't understand. And the thing with her kid, I understand if you guys are being like, well, like maybe you're being overly friendly with her. Her child was in this space, like skipping and dancing and like kind of hanging out and being like a little kid. She was maybe 7 at the oldest. She was like being just a little kid, and I was sitting in the corner of this hallway, like with all of my stuff around me, being like, hey, like, yeah, my name's Heather. Like, where's your mom? Like, I was not interacting with this child. I wasn't standing up with her. I wasn't touching her in any way. I think this woman stole my art and did something with it, because apparently after 2 years, I was a horrible creature to her. Because even then, afterwards, she did end up filling in for the other art teacher I mentioned, and another art teacher retired or moved or something, a different one. And she ended up becoming the teacher there. And even then, like, I knew her name. So occasionally if I saw her, I'd be like, oh, hi, ma'am, like, da-da-da. And every single time, just a completely dead-faced stare, or she would fucking glare at me. So, like, what happened? Did she steal my artwork and then she didn't win? So she's pissed off? Like, I don't know what happened. And it's a real bummer, because no other art or English teacher did I get that close to. ever again. She was the teacher that I got the closest to. You know what teacher I got really, really close to? My French teacher! Her and I were fucking besties! Which is hilarious because I failed her class both years that I took French with her. But yeah, every other art teacher... No, I guess you could say the substitute we had for a while. It was a guy. He was fun. I guess you could say him and I don't know why I'm like stroking my little chin hairs. Him and I were like kind of friendly, but he was also more friendly with my friend Nicole because she was doing like 60 art things at once because she ended up going to art school. He was more friends with Nicole than he was with me anyway. I don't know, dude. It was weird. It was weird. Art teacher drama is a real thing. Be careful out there, kids. All you young queer kids, careful with your art teachers. You don't know when they're gonna steal shit from you. Okay, so that was my second time filming this video. That is my latest Shark Tales art teacher drama. I'm very tired. We took the cats to the vet today. As you're watching this, it is the Wednesday that this video was supposed to go up. We took the cats to the vet today. I'm very tired. Yeah, so thank you guys so much for watching. Please leave a like if you enjoyed. And if you're excited that there's a new Shark Tales episode out. I think it's been exactly a year since the last one came out. So here you go. Here's a new one. Yeah. Again, thank you guys so much for watching. I'll see you in the next video. Bye! And now it's time to pick whichever cat to lay down with, whichever one will let me lay down with them, and take a nap. Oh, excuse me.